In this video, we'll explore the differences between two options that sound similar but do very different things: process RAG and add to memory. When you open the menu of any document in your knowledge base, you'll find both options listed one below the other. It's normal to be unsure which one to choose because nothing on the screen tells you what the difference is. The most common assumption is that one feeds the other, that processing the document automatically stores it in memory. That's not the case. They do different things, they store different things, and the result of each one ends up in a different place. Let me give you the core idea right away, because everything else stems from this. Think of a person who knows they don't know the answer, but knows exactly which document it's in and where. You ask them about that document, they find the paragraph, and they read it to you. That's what process RAG does. The knowledge stays inside the document, and your agent has everything mapped out, so it can go straight to the relevant paragraph. Think of another person who read that same document, drew their conclusions, and no longer needs to open it again. You ask them, and they answer directly. That's add to memory. The knowledge leaves the document and becomes something your organization knows. Let's start with the first one. When you upload a document, Qamaq processes it for RAG without you having to ask. It reads the document, splits it into fragments, and stores each fragment along with its meaning. This has already happened with all of your files, and you can see it, for example, here. For this example, we'll use this document, the Customer Retention Playbook, which is the manual our team uses to decide how to care for each customer. We'll open its information panel and go to the RAG Analysis tab. There you'll find the results of the work. At the top, you'll find the job counts. This shows how much text the document contained and how much it cost to process, which was just a fraction of a cent. The one that matters to us right now is labeled chunks, which indicates how many fragments the document was split into. Chunks is what these fragments are called, and you'll see them referred to that way in several places. The rest of the numbers are technical information, available for reference if you ever need it, but you don't have to touch anything. Below, these fragments don't appear loose as a single list. They are distributed into blocks, based on the section of the document they came from. Each block indicates how many fragments it contains. Let's open one, and there they are. Notice that each fragment is marked as vectorized. This is how the system tells you it's ready for your agent to find it. Pay attention to what each fragment contains. It's the text of the document exactly as it was written, not a summary, not a conclusion. It's the document itself, cut into pieces. Keep that in mind, because this is exactly what will change when we look at memory. And what are they used for? For this, when you ask your agent something, it doesn't read the entire document. It searches through the fragments that match what you're asking about and responds based on those. That's how it can answer accurately about a 50-page document without getting lost. And notice what happened here. The knowledge didn't move anywhere. It continues to live inside the document. The only thing that changed is that your agent now knows where each piece is located and can go in to retrieve exactly the fragment it needs. That's why the Process RAG option in the menu isn't for introducing a new document. It's for reprocessing one. For example, if you updated it and want it to be read again. For the other option, this one doesn't happen automatically. You have to request it document by document. Before doing that, let's take a look at the organization's memory as it stands today. In Configurations, we select AI and System and go into Organizational Memory. As you can see, everything is at zero active facts, and an empty table. Let's go back to the document. Open its submenu and select Add to Memory. A window will open. Notice two things here. It tells you which model will perform the extraction, the one you have configured in your organization. Because this is genuine reading work and it's done by a model, it also warns you that it consumes tokens, which is the most honest way of telling you that this has a cost. And that's precisely why it isn't performed automatically on everything you upload. Here's something worth knowing, because it significantly changes the result. The extraction depends on the model. If you don't change anything, It uses your organization's default model, and it works perfectly. But if you want deeper understanding, you can switch to a model with better reasoning capabilities. That setting lives right in your organization's configuration. In the top right corner, click on your profile picture, go to Settings, and then to Organization. From there, enter the LLM configuration section and look for the Organizational Memory Extraction area. Click Process, and you'll see a notification that it has been queued, and the facts will appear shortly, because the extraction runs in the background while you continue working. Let's return to organizational memory. Here's where it gets interesting, but first, we need to learn how to read this table. At first glance, it looks like a database, but it isn't. Each row is divided into 3 columns. The first, subject, is what we're talking about. The second, predicate, is the relationship, and it appears in uppercase. The third, value, is what it relates to. If you read the entire row from left to right, it forms a sentence. For example, let's try this row. Customer Success Manager, responsible for, and account relationship. Read straight through. The Customer Success Manager is responsible for the account relationship. Pay close attention to what you just read, because this point is not just a piece of data or a fragment of text. It's a rule about how your team works and who is responsible for what. In the original document, this information was buried inside a paragraph, surrounded by other sentences. Here, it stands alone in a single line, and your organization can access it without ever opening the document. And like this one, there are dozens more insights extracted from the same file. Here's the difference from what we saw earlier. The fragments were the document cut into pieces, and to use one, you have to read it. These facts don't need to be read. The document has been broken down, along with the information it contained, and each piece lives on its own. That's why the same document that produced only a few fragments generated many more facts. It's not that memory stores more, it stores something different. Where paragraph chunking sees paragraphs, extraction sees statements, and a single paragraph can contain several. Each one comes with a tag, a category, so you can identify what type of knowledge it represents. It also has an importance rating from 1 to 10, which reflects how much weight the system itself assigns to it. And notice that not all of them carry the same value. There's also a usage counter, which we'll come back to at the end. There are 2 more tabs that show you what this memory is made of. In Entities, you'll find the topics the document discussed, each with an explanation written by the system itself. It also shows how many facts mention each entity. And in Graph, you can see them connected to one another. Let's select one, the Customer Health Score, and it appears in the center along with everything that makes it up. Each arrow indicates what type of relationship it represents. No one draws this by hand. It came from reading the document. Stop right there for a second, because that's exactly what a bunch of text fragments can't give you. Fragments are loose pieces, and to make sense of them, you have to read through them and connect the dots yourself. Here, the relationship is already established, and you haven't lost the source. In the By Document tab, the origin is preserved. You can see which document each piece came from, along with its name. This way, you can always verify where the system pulled the information from. So, which one should you use? For RAG, you don't have to decide anything. It happens automatically with everything you upload. And that's what matters, that your agent can find whatever any of your documents say. That works just fine. Memory, on the other hand, is something you choose, and it's worth it. You choose memory for the documents that define how your company operates, your policies, your criteria, your analyses, the things you want your organization to keep in mind without anyone having to go search for them in a file. For the minutes of a routine meeting, no. For the document that establishes how you make a decision, yes. Don't be afraid to experiment, because this can be undone. Each document has the option to remove what it contributed and send it back to be reprocessed. So the sensible approach is to start with just one document, review the facts it extracted, and then decide whether to process the rest. I'll wrap up with a detail I really like about this tab. Take a look at the column labeled Uses, and at the top, the counter shows the total number of citations. It doesn't count how many entries you saved. It counts how many times your agent actually used those facts to answer something. Right now, they're at 0, which is normal, because we just created this a minute ago and no one has asked anything yet. But as your team works, that number will tell you something no other screen can, whether the memory you filled in is actually serving someone or if it's just piling up unused. And that's the difference between the two. With RAG, your documents are available whenever someone searches for them. With Add to Memory, your organization inherently knows things, and that knowledge reaches your agents without anyone having to go look for it.